The worst Wall Street deaths ever. Brian Thompson. Let's start with something that just happened recently. Brian Thompson was 50 years old, CEO of United Healthcare, making over $10 million a year. The guy had it all. Good salary, important job, probably a really nice apartment somewhere. And then one December morning in 2024, he decided to attend his company's investor conference at the Hilton in Midtown Manhattan. But here's where the story takes a turn that would make even Hollywood screenwriters crazy. Someone shot him in the back before 7 a.m. with a silencer in front of, witnesses. Lots of witnesses. The police called it a brazen targeted attack, which is corporate speak for we have no idea what just happened. But yes, someone definitely shot the guy. Thompson fell to the ground with a gunshot wound to his back and calf. He was rushed to Mount Sinai West Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 7:12 a.m. The shooter? Still haven't found him. But hey, at least the conference got canceled, right? Small silver lining for everyone who forgot to bring their laptops. Andrew Whitty, the CEO of the parent company United Health Group, had to give employees an emergency video message, and you could just see in his eyes the thought bubble. Well, this is definitely not going to boost our quarterly results. Thompson's widow later mentioned that he'd been receiving threats about medical coverage issues, which, okay, that's actually terrifying, and nobody makes jokes about that. But Wall Street? Wall Street was definitely already planning the true crime podcast. Wesley LePatner. 6 months later, we meet Wesley LePatner, 43 years old, brilliant, Yale graduate. She was the global head of Core Plus Real Estate at Blackstone and CEO of Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust, a $53 billion fund. She was basically the person who knew where all the commercial real estate bodies were buried, literally. Wesley was exceptional. Everyone said so. She was warm, generous, brilliant. She was on the board of the Met Museum. She won awards for supporting women in finance. She had a husband she met on the literal first day of freshman year at Yale. So basically, she lived the kind of romantic comedy fantasy that most Wall Streeters wouldn't even have time to dream about between their 12-hour conference calls. But on a Monday in July 2025, a 27-year-old gunman named Shane Tamura walked into 345 Park Avenue, a building that also happens to house the NFL headquarters and several other major corporations, and started shooting. He was apparently angry about chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or the NFL, or Wall Street, or possibly everything. He wasn't entirely specific about his motivations, which honestly made the whole thing even more disturbing. Wesley LePatner was one of 4 victims. She tried to take refuge in the lobby, didn't work out. A colleague described the scene like something out of an action movie, except nobody was getting paid union scale and there was definitely no craft services table. Blackstone released a statement saying, "Words cannot express the devastation we feel," which is corporate speak for we're shocked, we're sad, and our PR team is having an absolute nightmare right now. The shooter took his own life before police could apprehend him, which didn't make anything better. Wesley's family said they had a gaping hole in their hearts that would never be filled. And honestly, that's when you know it's not about the money anymore. Adnan Dumic. So, naturally, because things weren't sad enough yet, Bank of America managed to rack up another death a few months later. This time, Adnan Dumic, 25 years old, Swedish, a credit portfolio and algorithmic trader, had just joined the global markets team in 2022. Seemed like a bright kid, literally his whole life ahead of him. One Thursday night, Adnan was at an industry event, probably networking, probably trying to forget about work by going to another work event. You know how bankers do. And he decided to play soccer. Soccer. The one thing that wasn't about money and deals and quarterly earnings, just a simple game of soccer. While playing, Adnan collapsed, suspected cardiac arrest. The same thing that kills people who are overworked and stressed. Medical team performed CPR, did everything right, he just didn't wake up. 25 years old, his whole career ahead of him, his whole life ahead of him, and he literally just collapsed playing sports. Bank of America released a statement saying, "The loss of our teammate is a profound tragedy," which is truly the most pathetic sentence you can write in response to accidentally killing your employees through corporate culture. It's like saying, "Sorry, we're terrible," but in 50 words or less. What makes this even worse? This was the second death at Bank of America in weeks. Leo Lucanas had literally just died from essentially the same stress-related cardiac event. And somehow, incredibly, shockingly, nobody saw this coming. It's like the definition of insanity, except it's corporate insanity, which is somehow even worse. Gabriel Medji. Let's rewind to 2014. Gabriel Medji, 39 years old, worked at JP Morgan Chase in London, had been with them for 10 years. Basically, if JP Morgan was a college, Gabriel was the tenured professor. Smart guy, computer programmer, vice president in the corporate and investment bank's technology arm. Respectable career, stable job. One morning in January, Gabriel came to work. He rode the elevator up to the rooftop of the 33-story JP Morgan headquarters, and then he jumped. His body was found on a lower roof, 9th floor. The coroner ruled it suicide, and here's where it gets weird, because apparently Wall Street dead is never just straightforward. Gabriel had a blood alcohol content that was nearly 3 times the legal driving limit. He'd been sending text messages to a girlfriend before he went up. Messages from the roof itself. The texts were things like, try to jump off building and hate my life. JP Morgan's IT staff found messages on his computer that said, and I wish I was making this up, jump. He'd apparently tried to access the roof before, multiple times. He had a therapist. He was dealing with mental health issues, and somehow nobody connected the dots until it was way too late. The coroner at the inquest said JP Morgan could not have done anything to prevent it, which, okay, technically may be true, but also, maybe if you noticed your VP was acting increasingly paranoid and delusional. One colleague said Gabriel thought someone was a white witch. Maybe you check in. Just a thought? Just a crazy HR nightmare kind of thought? Gabriel's dad tried to argue it wasn't suicide, that maybe his son was just falling around, having a nice time on a frozen London rooftop, definitely not jumping, but the evidence was pretty clear. Gabriel Medji didn't want to be there anymore, and JP Morgan's work environment apparently provided zero safety net, both literally and emotionally. William Brucksmith. You know what's crazy? While Gabriel Medji was jumping from JP Morgan's building in London, a guy named William Brucksmith was having the exact same terrible idea, but at Deutsche Bank. Same month, same city, 2 different banks, 2 different suicides. Apparently, Wall Street's mental health crisis is a true collaborative effort. William Brucksmith was 58 years old, retired Deutsche Bank risk executive, U.S. national. He was kind of a big deal. He basically helped found Deutsche's investment banking division in the 1990s when they were trying to compete with American banks. He had connections, respect, prestige, the works. One Sunday afternoon, William Brucksmith was found hanging in his home in South Kensington, London, dead. Police called it non-suspicious, which is police speak for, yeah, this is definitely a suicide. Deutsche Bank's co-CEOs announced it to employees via internal memo. Very dignified, very classy. Here's the kicker. William hadn't even been working anymore. He was retired, he had left the grind, gone to pasture, and he still couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle the memory of it, the stress from it, the weight of it all. The guy escaped the corporate rat race and found he couldn't escape his own mind. His death comes at an uncomfortable juncture for the bank, according to reports. Because, you really want your company's narrative to be about investment strategy and not about your retired executives hanging themselves. It's bad for recruiting. Carter McIntosh. Fast forward to January 2025. We meet Carter McIntosh, 28 years old, investment banker at Jefferies Financial Group in Dallas, technology, media, and telecommunications coverage team. All the buzzwords that mean absolutely insane work schedule. Carter was found dead in his Dallas apartment. At first, police called it an unexplained death, which is police speak for, we're not totally sure what happened here. There was drug paraphernalia at the scene, so naturally everyone assumed overdose, and they wouldn't know the real answer for months, and when they did get the autopsy results, Dallas medical examiner ruled it accidental overdose, the combined toxic effects of fentanyl and cocaine. So basically, Carter McIntosh, a guy who was working 100-hour weeks at an investment bank, apparently decided to mix 2 of the world's most dangerous drugs and see what happened. Spoiler alert, nothing good happened. His coworker said he worked like a dog with unsustainable hours. Nobody questioned it at the time. Nobody said, hey, maybe we're killing our employees. They just accepted it as normal, Wall Street normal, which is basically slightly more insane than regular insanity, but with better financial compensation. Jefferies CEO Richard Handler released a memo defending the bank from what he called unfounded vitriolic attacks on their work culture. He said, nobody knows exactly what happened. Well, actually, Richard, the autopsy said fentanyl and cocaine. That's pretty specific. What you don't know is why a 28-year-old felt compelled to combine those drugs in the first place. And spoiler alert, it probably has something to do with the 100-hour weeks. Carter McIntosh wasn't officially killed by work, but he also wasn't killed by something independent of work. He was killed by the intersection of impossibly demanding hours, extreme stress, and easy access to illegal drugs, which is basically Wall Street's current business model. Josh Pack, and finally, because apparently 2025 is still committed to making Wall Street look terrible, we have Josh Pack, 51 years old, co-CEO and managing partner of Fortress Investment Group, only in his position for 2 years, had just been promoted in 2023 after Mubadala and management acquired Fortress from SoftBank. Josh had been with Fortress for 23 years, started in the credit funds division, worked his way up, became a senior investor, became a leader, became a co-CEO, and then, after achieving literally everything on the corporate ladder, he moved from Dallas to London to expand the firm's European operations. One Monday in late September, Josh Pack died unexpectedly at the age of 51. No cause announced, no explanation given. Fortress just said it was unexpected and that they were devastated. The firm released a statement calling Josh a gifted investor, a thoughtful strategist, a compassionate leader, and a deeply cherished friend to many, which is beautiful, but it's also kind of the bare minimum for your deceased co-CEO. You'd hope they'd at least like him a little bit. What's particularly dark about Josh's death is that here's a guy who made it to the absolute top. Co-CEO of a firm managing $53 billion in assets, achieved every financial goal, had a wife, probably kids, definitely a house somewhere nice, and at 51, just done. Whether it was a heart attack, stroke, or something else, the point is this. You can make it to the very top of Wall Street, but apparently the view doesn't come with longevity. Which of these deaths shocked you the most? That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, let us know what part hit you the hardest in the comments. This video was made using an AI voice due to a low budget, but with your support, we'll switch to real voiceovers very soon. Also, tell us what topic you want to see next. Don't forget to drop your suggestions below. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.